Live from the City of Angels Sunday morning breaking box office, you see the dire headline over my shoulder here as Snow White has done exactly what we expected this film to do. It has bombed. People have said no thank you to this live action remake. This thing was doomed from day one, essentially, especially Rachel Zegler coming in and having all those comments about this, that, and the other. And that really set this thing on a course for disaster. And that's where we are this morning with a $43 million debut. This is less than half of The Little Mermaid. Remember, back in 2023, that film opened at $95.6 million. So you're looking at minus 55% versus that. So this points to the Disney brand in big trouble. Now, for those of you all of a sudden are going to come to me and say, well, what about Deadpool Wolverine? What about Inside Out 2? Bulletproof. Also, those weren't seen as woke films, right? That's the problem with these Disney films like A Wish. These films are coming in and doing poorly because they are seen as woke, and that is what is really sandbagging these things. Because, I mean, listen, this is a $250+ million film. So to get profitable on a global scale, you need to be upwards of $625 million worldwide. We're going to go directly to the Disney email here, and we'll check out the overseas numbers in addition to this $43 million debut. Man, it's bad. I mean, how else can you spin it? You can't. Internationally, 44.3 for a total of 87.3 million on the global debut. So we have, someone help me with the math, 625 million minus 87. We're talking about what somewhere in the neighborhood of 550 plus million or in that range to get profitable. It's never going to happen, right? They're going to lose their ass on this film. And it really is going to point going forward to not just the whole, quote, woke aspect, because they did go back in and add the kiss from the prince and those things, but it really gets to the stars. And I think Hollywood's got to understand something. You're paid to make a movie. You're not paid to spout off on world current events, on politics, because what that does is it damages the brand, the film, everything, and then you end up with where we are here this morning. So I'm going to, if I'm an agent, if I'm a manager, if I'm at a studio for sure, I'm going to tell every one of my stars to shut the fuck up. Just stop talking. This isn't your job. Your job is to be Snow White. Okay, that's it. I don't need anything else. And we're going to show a lot of clips from Zegler here tonight, and you can see exactly what happened. She is so opinionated. She's a version, like she's like me here. I'm like, honey, you are in a movie that cost $250 million. You're not doing a random YouTube/X stream, and I can do whatever I want here. I don't care. I don't have to worry about a $250 million project. This is for shits and giggles. I enjoy it. I can do whatever I want. Not you, Zegler. Let's get to the breakdown here. PLF, premium large format, 22% of the cash. IMAX, just 7%. We saw those IMAX screens were dead all weekend long, just like we saw with Mufasa. Also want to point to, you look at Mufasa. We're talking about Disney as a brand hurting, right? Mufasa was down 55% versus The Lion King in 2019. Okay, only 700 plus million worldwide. Lion King in 2019 got to 1.6 billion. So you're telling me Disney's not in trouble? Someone commented on one of my tweets this morning, box office, and said, is this the end for Disney doing woke stuff? I'm going to explain something to you guys. I don't think you understand this. This is a bigger picture deal. This is being funded by people other than Disney. You guys understand that? This is an agenda. There are agendas in play here. I hate agendas. I'm not the right-wing guy. I'm not the left-wing guy. But I can tell you this. I can't stand agendas on either side. I want objective truth. I do not want you to force feed me propaganda bullshit. I can't stand it. And, of course, I'm always going to rail against that. And most people definitely felt like this film was doing that. When you watch the final version, Yes, there are some things, but I don't think it's nearly as egregious as a lot of you do because a lot of you didn't see it. Let's just be honest. You can't fully comment on a film unless you've seen it. Once you've seen it, you can come in and have that conversation, but you can't go on what you think it is. You've got to sit down and try to watch it as I did the Alto Nights and I left. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. That film bombed for Warner Brothers. But again, you look here at this breakdown and it's just bad across the board. Female 70%, male 28%. That's a problem. You need to have at least a 60-40. You don't want a 72-28 breakdown. Dudes are like, no, thank you. Internationally, the number one market, UK 5.1 million, Mexico 4.1, Italy 4, France 3 million, and on and on. But again, this global debut of 87.3 million is not going to cut it on a 250 million plus film. Okay, it's probably more like 280. With the reshoots, I don't know, maybe 300. Who knows? I don't know where this money goes. This one doesn't even look that good. Wicked looks a hell of a lot better than Snow White. So I don't even know. Is it a money laundering situation? I have no clue. But it just isn't there on the screen. And the direction on this film is not excellent by any means. And that's the other issue, too, is the film just is underwhelming. Not terrible, just underwhelming. Let's talk about Captain America since we're here on Disney's email. I can break it right down and go straight to down below. Captain America now at $400.8 million. Now, that's getting closer to profitability. It's not going to. It's going to lose the money. The break-even point on this is roughly $425. You can push that a little higher, a little lower. Let's call it $425 to be fair. I say 2.5x is what I like to go with. The budget here, $180 million. So you look at the 2.5 times, it's 425. So we're getting closer. This is going to lose them their ass like Snow White. But again, Marvel, big time cracks in the facade as we see, and we're going to find out what happens with Thunderbolts and then Fantastic Four later. But clearly, we're no longer in the end game. This is done, right? Marvel's no longer and will never be the brand that it was pre-Endgame, and then right there when we hit Endgame, and obviously after with No Way Home, but that was Sony. But you look at this entire CBM is just dying. People are just, you got to give them something new. And movies are in trouble. Let's talk about big picture here. We're talking about Captain America at a break-even point closer to. Theaters are getting killed right now. Killed. You guys, when your number one film is at 43 million, and you have films like The Alto Nights, a film that would have done okay like in the 90s. I mean, trust me, I walked out. I don't walk out of movies. An hour in, I said, I can't do this anymore. We'll talk about it more at length tonight with the MMT evaluation. But you're looking at these films that are unappealing. People are hurting financially. And you're in a position where we're going to start losing more and more theaters. It's coming very soon. Unless these next films that are coming, Mission Impossible, F1, right? Even 28 years later, can't wait. But again, that's not a big Mission Impossible / F1, these huge tent poles. Thunderbolts will be a big indicator along with Fantastic Four, but I'm telling you, 2025 is off to a terrible start. You look at a Black Bag, number 2 this weekend, down 42%. This is a film that should be on streaming. There's nothing about Soderbergh's Black Bag that tells you need to see this in a theater. It is a very sluggish film. Slightly less sluggish than The Alto Nights, but it's right there. But the problem is, right, when you're in trouble, you've got to have great product. And if you're not having great product, then you're going to fall further and further into the abyss. And that's where we're at. Because Hollywood is not making great films. This is from a guy who loves cinema, goes to the movies 2-3 times a week. The average person isn't going to go once a month. And at this point, maybe even less than that. You look at Mickey 17, terrible film. Here's the Warner Brothers breakdown on that. It's going to lose them a ton of cash. That was $120 million. So profitability on that is somewhere around, what is that? 120, 240, 300 million, right? Somewhere in the 300 million mark. And we're at 110 million worldwide. This isn't going much higher. This is a film that should have been Batgirl, okay? I despise Mickey 17. This is the kind of film that's going to turn people against going to the movies. This is unwatchable, okay? And Bong, off of Parasite, we still think you're a hell of a director, but not with this shit. And Warner Brothers, let me tell you something. Warner Brothers, you've given me Alto Nights, I just walked out of. You've given me Mickey 17, I should have walked out of. You've given me Horizon, an abomination. What we talk about slogs. Holy shit. By the way, who was right about Horizon? And let me tell you how I know I'm right. Have you ever seen Horizon Part 2? No, because it's terrible. One's terrible. And I'm telling you, whoever's down the street, I can walk there. I can walk to Warner Brothers. Whoever's at Warner Brothers right now, I'm telling you, tomorrow morning, I've said it a million times, I'm available. I can get there. I will be there tomorrow morning and go Les Grossman, and I'm talking no fewer than 10 people. And not the low people. I'm talking about high. Who greenlit Alto Nights at $50 million? Okay. Who said yes to Mickey 17? Keep your hands up, everybody. Okay, those two. Also, who said we should acquire Horizon, even though we didn't pay for it? I want to know who said we're going to go ahead and put the Warner Brothers label on this. Everyone keep your hands up. Gone. All of you, goodbye. We're going to mail your shit. Don't even go back to your offices. It's all being mailed to you. It's done. It's over. We can't have this. Warner Brothers as a studio has gone to hell. Used to be my favorite studio. They would come in and do wonderful things. Like, even their worst film was still pretty strong. They were movies. And I'll tell you right now, anything but. And I actually like Joker 2. So if you hated Joker 2, then you're even more in the pile on Warner Brothers camp than me. Okay? But again, terrible. Alto Nights. Let's do that. It's number 6. And we'll break this film down. I have not walked out of a film in years. And I said to myself, I can't suffer anymore. It's 2 hours, okay? It is one of the most painful things to sit through. You've got an information dump. You've got nothing really happening. You've got 2 De Niros. And the fact that they greenlit this at $50 million with 2 different De Niros. Okay, here's the thing. Why would you greenlight a movie at $50 million when you know you have to spend a ton of cash to shoot the film essentially twice whenever the 2 De Niros are together, because you have to change him into his makeup? So you're talking about all that time to slather on this makeup so he looks like the Penguin. And then the 2 of them are in a candy shop, and I'm like, this is cash. You see, you got to watch these films more than just this isn't good. You got to understand the budget, the financials, all this while you're watching it. We talk about it all the time. It's the magic eye. Can you see everything in play at one time? That's what I do better than anybody else. And I'm telling you right now, Alto Night should have never been greenlit to having 2 De Niros, because you're adding so much money to the budget, in addition to all of the production design to get it back into the 40s, 50s, 60s, all of that period piece is going to cost you cash. And Barry Levinson, okay, this isn't 1990. This is 2025. So heads should roll over the Alto Nights. $3.2 million. They got some of my money from the A-list. I wish I would have asked for my money back. I probably should have. I could have, but I just said I'm just going to take the L. But Warner Brothers has taken so many L's lately that their stature is that of, I mean, we're talking about such a diminished studio compared to where we were just a few years ago. And Superman, who knows? I mean, really, at this rate, I can't trust Warner Brothers with anything. Quickly, the top locations on this film. Number 1 was Toronto. That shows you how whack Alto Nights was. Cineplex, Queensway, Toronto. Number 2, Toronto as well. They love De Niro in Toronto, apparently. Number 3, we finally get to New York City. AMC Empire. Number 4, Montreal. Canadians for De Niro. Cineplex, Laval. And AMC Burbank, where I suffered, number 5. This is just a disastrous outcome. $5.1 million on the global, $50 million. That means profitability is at $125. It's not going to come close. Guys, this is some bad shit, okay? Novocaine was even down 57%, film I didn't even watch. Why would I sit through Novocaine? I've only seen that version of that film a billion times, right? How many times do we see the beta male gets angry and goes and turns into the assassin no one expected? Ugh, we just had Love Kills. We got the Rami Malek movie coming out soon. So I don't need to see that. Top 10, let's go over it quickly. Those of you missed the top of the stream. Snow White, number 1, $43 million. This is, I believe, lower than Dumbo. That's a bad film, right? Snow White is minus 55% on Little Mermaid from 2 years ago. So here we are, right? You wonder about the state of theatrical and the state of Disney. Here you go. Disney's going to try to trumpet all this stuff from last year. Again, Inside Out 2, Deadpool, Wolverine, those are bulletproof. That doesn't count. Those have nothing to do with really the Disney brand. I mean, Inside Out too, but it's Pixar, right? So people also, they loved Inside Out and Deadpool and Wolverine. Not even really MCU. It's more about those two characters. So Disney, you better clean up, course correct, whatever it is. But back to the whole pushing the agenda. I'm telling you, it's part of a larger, you got to see these things bigger. It's not just about making money. It's about imprinting propaganda. It is. A lot of this is. You guys understand. And I'm not even the right-wing guy. I'm not out here like Nerdrotic or, for God's sake, Gore, who's completely simped out to the entire woke bullshit. I'm just telling you, I'm not that guy, but I can tell you that's part of the deal. You guys understand. You have to understand this stuff, man. You got to get it. You got to get a big picture on me here. You got to understand it. Black bag, number 2. 3, Captain America, $400 million now worldwide, so it's not going to lose Disney quite as much as a lot of you thought it would. I didn't know if we'd get to $400 million, but here it is, just at that number. Mickey 17 is going to lose Warner Brothers a ton of cash, along with Also Nights at number 6, Novocaine 5. 7 is Looney Tunes. That film only $6.4 million. For those of you who are like, oh, I can't wait for Coyote versus Acme to get purchased. Really, then why is Looney Tunes doing $6.4 million after 2 weekends? You guys, this is not 1994. I mean, does Film Twitter understand the realities of the universe? I feel like they literally live in their little fucking niche caves, and they have no clue what the real world's like. Coyote versus Acme, or Acme versus Coyote, whatever it's called. That is not a movie in 2025. It's going to sell tickets like it would in 1985. These people, but listen, Warner Brothers, they spent a ton on that money. As you guys know, they Batgirled it. Now they might sell it. But again, look at the sales for Looney Tunes. I understand it's catch-up entertainment, but so would Coyote versus Acme. It'd be the same studio. So what are you expecting from that? I wouldn't buy it for much money because the marketplace is showing me people aren't going to the movies right now. The Monkeys at 37.8, that's a terrible film. 2025 has been bad. Really terrible. I mean, again, if I'm walking out at Alto Nights, I don't walk out of anything. I looked at my watch. I was an hour in. I'm not sitting here for another hour. I'm not doing this. I'm out of here. I had a guy that was in the back, old guy, hacking, coughing, okay? That's not why I left. But I'm just saying it all, it's a giant combination of get me out of this theater. But, and we'll talk about why I left, but I can't give you a grade because I didn't finish it. At least I'm fair about that, right? Dogman, number 9 at 95, still hasn't hit $100 million. I'm surprised. Thought it would go higher than that. Last Supper, number 10. 5.3 million. Paddington, Peru, number 11, now at 43.6. It's done very well overseas, so that film has been successful. But again, back to the top story here this morning. It is Snow White at $43 million. This is disastrous for Disney. And it really points to the number of people who said, I'm out, right? I am going to boycott this. We saw this when you look at, if you want to call it right wing, you look at what happened with Bud Light. Same kind of thing, right? We're not going to do this. We're not going to key Teslas, but we're just not going to go to the movies, right? We're not going to destroy other people's property. We're just not going to support Snow White. There's a difference, isn't there, between those two? Because if it was the other way, maybe you'd go in and do something terrible to the theater. I'm not gonna let's try to be civil here, but that's what happened here. People voted with their pocketbooks, as it were, whoever still carries one of those around, and as such, they're paying the price. This film will lose them hundreds of millions of dollars, and again, it just points to not pissing the audience off, giving the audience what it wants. We talk about often how there's this discussion of woke. They change this character to this. If you're going to piss off the core audience, and I don't even mind a little bit, right? I'm not that guy. But you got to understand that if you're going to do that, you are going to rankle them. They will probably say, I'm not going to go. So you got to financially understand that to be responsible for a movie of $250 million budget, you better not have landmines that you're personally laying out that are going to implode and then you're done. And that's exactly what happened here. So going forward, Hollywood's got to learn a lesson. If you left a comment, I'm going to get to it because I'm off to the beach to play volleyball today. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. We'll discuss this at length. I'll go through some of the comments as soon as I'm done here, and then we'll be back tonight for the Sunday Night Spectacular to discuss Snow White, autopsy, what happened again, your comments, all of that. See you next time. Live from the City of Angels. Breaking Box Office is off the air. Peace out.